Hey there, friend! Welcome back to the Closing Chapters podcast, where every mission has a story. If the house is not in good condition or there is something that is being flagged, then it should be of consideration regardless of the appraisal. Now, if I had to take a gander where this is coming from, it's just that North Carolina is considered an as-is state, meaning when you sell a property in North Carolina, the seller is not required to do any repairs or adjustments to the property in any way, shape, or form. Is it an opportunity to negotiate and have things done? Absolutely. Do they have to do it? No. Hello, my friends. I want to talk to you about something that has been a current frustration of mine with real estate. This seems to be coming up more and more in North Carolina than I've ever experienced in any of the other states that I've worked in. So I'm not quite sure if it's just a standard that's been passed along, because it's surely not in writing anywhere, and it's starting to bug me pretty good. And I want to talk to you about it and get your opinion. What do you think about this? So here's the problem, or here's my concern. My concern is that whenever we write an offer and we have a due diligence period, that due diligence period is for the buyer to be able to do any and all inspections, checks, and balances on the property that they so choose, right? And remember that we can negotiate from the beginning of the contract to the end of the contract. Negotiation is always open, always an option, okay? So my frustration that I keep coming across is that seller agents in North Carolina, like the listing agent, are popping back whenever we send over a due diligence request, meaning a repair request. So we have done our inspections and we are sending over a repair request saying, hey, Mr. Seller, hey, Mrs. Seller, we would like you to address these items that have come up on these inspection reports, okay? And then I get this lovely message that says, the sellers aren't going to respond to your due diligence request until after the appraisal is in. I'm going to be a little bit heated for a second, because I don't think one has a darn thing to do with the other. Do we negotiate the sales price before the appraisal comes in? No. If we have a problem with the appraisal, do we go back and revisit our terms and renegotiate? Yes, potentially we do. So why would it be any different with our repairs? What does one have to do with the other? If the house is not in good condition or there is something that is being flagged, then it should be of consideration regardless of the appraisal. Now, if I had to take a gander where this is coming from, it's just that North Carolina is considered an as-is state, meaning when you sell a property in North Carolina, the seller is not required to do any repairs or adjustments to the property in any way, shape, or form. Is it an opportunity to negotiate and have things done? Absolutely. Do they have to do it? No. But that's just about the same anywhere else you go. The problem is that these sellers are accepting offers for FHA and VA financing, which means the house has to meet certain criteria and conditions. So why are we waiting for an appraiser to flag it whenever we're going to have less than 10 days to get to closing and you're going to be trying to scramble to get repairs done? We're going to have to get the appraiser back out there at an additional cost to my buyer, and you should have done the repairs anyways, just because it is decency and like common sense to maintain your property. And when I'm talking about these repairs, I'm not talking about like little repairs. I'm talking about wood rot around the house. Now, in South Carolina, this would be called out on the termite inspection. In North Carolina, not so much. But in South Carolina, if we have wood rot around our trim, on our garage doors, on any exterior doors, you bet they're calling it out, and it has to be replaced in order to get a clear CL100 or termite inspection report. Every state has different guidelines on what they are particular about, right? Now, I'm not talking about just wood rot around the trim. I'm talking about wood rot around the roof and the siding. No, not okay. Wood siding rotting. Leaks in ceilings, like through the roof in the attic space. Not okay. It doesn't matter if an appraiser flags that or not. It is a red flag. Why would we wait until the last minute to say, yes, we should address a leaking roof? Don't you think that's important? And why would a buyer want to buy a house that is leaking? Once again, with a VA loan, meaning this is a residential property that somebody's going to turn around and move right into and live in. Nonetheless, they've got to be able to get homeowners insurance on it. So if the roof is flagged or the roof does not look like it's in good condition, depending on the insurance company, that might be a problem all in itself. So why would we not get ahead of these problems before they come and slap us in the face and we are sitting at the closing doorsteps? Not cool. Not cool at all. I don't think one has anything to do with the other. It is an opportunity for us to negotiate directly from buyer to seller. Now, if something else, in addition to whatever you have agreed upon, comes up on the appraisal, chances are you should have been doing that anyways, all along. Most likely, it's going to be something we have already flagged. The nuance to that might be seals in a window or peeling paint around a windowsill with wooden windows. Stuff like that I'm not going to be super particular about and feel that is relatively cosmetic and an appraiser is going to nitpick or not nitpick at. Now, I always give my buyers and or sellers a heads up on any item I feel could be called out by an appraiser or that I've had experience with it being called out in the past, such as rails on steps, because there's a 3-step rule and it's always the gamut of, is it 1, 2, 3 as in like the platform, or 1, 2, 3 then the platform? Who knows? Each appraiser is going to be particular about that. Like I said, peeling paint. When we have wood windows and there's peeling paint on the exterior of the windows, some of them are going to be like, you know what, it's okay, it's barely there, it's intact, the windows are not rotted, good to go. Others are going to be like, no, you better get out there and sand those windows and get them repainted. I can't really control that and how particular somebody's going to be. But there are some major things that absolutely should be called out. And wood rot, siding rot should be called out. That is going to allow moisture and critters and all other things to get behind the structure and continue to rot into the property. Not cool. Not cool at all. The roof leaking. Not cool. Is an appraiser going to know that? No. No, they're not, unless it's in the ceiling inside of the house. But if it's in the attic space and it has not reached the interior of the house, then one, thank goodness we are catching it at a time that you can fix it before it's a major issue in the inside of the house. But two, the appraiser's not getting in the attic. So what are you winning here? It's still going to come up. It's still going to be an issue, and it's still going to be something that a buyer wants addressed. No buyer wants to buy a house with a leaking roof that they are going to live in immediately. So, all in all to say, if you happen to be a seller in North Carolina and you are hearing this, and you are getting the advice to wait until an appraisal comes back to negotiate your repairs, just a reminder, be a reasonable human being. If you would expect it to be done for you when you are purchasing the house, then expect to do it for a buyer. And you know what? I understand life happens. I had an agent tell me recently, my seller took on command these past 2 years and hasn't hardly seen the sunshine, and just things didn't happen that they thought that they would get around to. Okay, that's fine and dandy. I totally understand that. Not my problem. Okay? And then the comment went further to say they prioritize everything underneath of the house when they purchased the house 2 years ago. Meaning when they had an inspection done, there were other items that came up on their inspection report, and they chose to only address items down in the crawl space. Now, there were still currently items in the crawl space, but there was also a lot of other issues, including a roof that needed to be replaced, seals that you could see daylight through almost every single window on the second story, and so forth, okay? But it's okay if somebody has to live life a little bit and they just aren't able to do everything they needed to do while they're living in the house. Not okay to say that's an excuse to just be like, now we'll just figure it out. If you knew there was stuff, and back up just half a second too, this particular agent helped this buyer purchase the seller purchased the house when they bought it 2 years ago. So they knew what the house was whenever it was purchased, and it's not going to get any better when it's continuing to be left without being addressed over 2 years. So would it have been wise to do a pre-listing inspection and start addressing some of this stuff before it ever got listed? Yeah, my friend, it would have. If you're telling me that now you're going to be willing to do $50,000+ worth of repairs to the house in order to sell it, then why would you not have gotten ahead of that before you ever listed it? Make it make sense. We have got to do better as realtors on educating our clients. It is not okay to tell your seller that it's all right to just ignore the condition of a home. It's not okay to say, you don't have to do any repairs, it'll be fine, we'll just wait for the appraisal. And then what? Who looks like the fool whenever our appraisal gets flagged and now they can't move to the closing table and they have to get all these repairs done? Mind you, for sure by a contractor that's going to be licensed and approved and be able to show it back over to the appraiser and allow the appraiser to come back and check the work. Versus if we knew there was a problem, why wouldn't we have addressed it from the beginning? Also, oh, by the way, when you are doing this and you know there are problems with the house and it's not disclosed, one, as agents, we have a duty to disclose things that we know. Did that happen with one of these properties? No, it did not. What the seller discloses is totally the seller's choice. We can't control that. But as agents, if we know something exists, then we must disclose it. So if something existed 2 years ago and you know that your seller did not address it, does it still exist? Yes, it does. So that particular house we are no longer moving forward with, so really not my problem at this moment. However, the other question or thing to remember is when you are representing a seller, if me as the buyer agent, if I send you this information, I send you the inspection report, I send you the due diligence request, and then you refuse to do it and we back out, by the way, you must disclose everything on that inspection report now, big or small, because it is now a material fact. You are aware of it and have been made aware of it, and you must disclose it, and you must disclose whether you fixed it or not. So good luck with that, my friends. This is not a dog and pony show. This is not something to play with. You are talking about humans that are looking for a home and investing the most money that they've ever spent on anything in their lives, and you're not going to help take care of them and make sure that they have a safe and sound home? What are we doing? As professionals, how is that a good standard? It's not, my friends. It's just not. Now, I will tell you, sometimes people are in a very tight spot and there's not a whole heck of a lot that they can do. And at that point, we all have to be understanding and make the best that we can of a scenario. Now, with the property that we walked away from, that's what I would have expected. They should be in a tight spot, and I'm not quite sure how they're going to get themselves out of that, but it's not my concern, right? So I can't get bogged down in that. But that was part of the reason we walked away from it, is my buyers, out of respect, didn't want to expect that out of a seller. Now, this other transaction, there's plenty of equity to be had in this house. They've had it for a while. They are getting a good price on it compared to when they bought it, and there is equity. There is no excuse that these repairs cannot be done, even if it is being done and paid for out of closing. There are contractors that will do that. They will make it right. And then also to tell me, oh, we already had the siding address and I've got a receipt for that. Okay, cool. That was a month ago. I just gave you a report from 2 days ago that shows you the current condition of the siding. It ain't fixed, friend. I don't know what you did or didn't have done, but it wasn't right. So try again. Once again, I can't control that. But should my buyer have to accept that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if I was on the listing side, I would try my best to make the big things right too. So I don't want you to think that I'm just being a buyer's agent, being a gabby gossiper and yapping my mouth. This is exactly how I would operate on the listing side too. If I saw big red flags or I knew that there was issues from the get-go, I would be addressing it and having a plan for it before we ever listed. Now, there might be some things that I say, hey, Mr. Seller, hey, Mrs. Seller, you need to be prepared that if this comes up, we might going to have to address it. But there's other things that it's like, yo, friend, we don't need to be listing this house until this is corrected, okay? Period. Or I'm not your gal. Because We all need to have an honest business and do a good job. And this is how we create a good reputation for our career, right? And this is how we take care of clients. Just refusing to do things to refuse to do things is not the way. Not the way. When you have had a house for almost 10 years and you probably bought it in perfectly fine condition and have literally done hardly anything to it, that's not reasonable. Houses have to be maintained. Do you change your oil in your vehicle? Do you put new gas in it? Do you replace air filters in it? Do you replace your tires on it? Do we replace transmission oil and fluids? Yeah, we do. So if we would do all of that for our everyday vehicle, then why wouldn't we do half of that for our everyday home? Why wouldn't we make sure that it's in good shape? Why would we continue to let it deteriorate? It's not okay. And we need to get a better grip around that and start teaching our clients, one, how to maintain our homes along the way, but two, that there is a standard for listing a home. And if you are not going to do things on a property, then you need to clearly market it as is condition, will not be doing repairs, probably not eligible for FHA or VA. And then you need to price it accordingly, because if you think you're going to get market value for that, you are sadly mistaken. So, now that I've got my blood pressure up, I hope that this gives you something like to think about and chew on. But if you think I'm wrong or you think I'm right, tell me about it. What's been your experience as a realtor, as a client, a customer purchasing or selling a house with repairs? Do you feel like things are asked that are completely unreasonable, or do you feel like you get taken advantage of and you have to settle for less? What is the deal with that? And as agents, what is your requirement? Do you require that houses have a pre-listing inspection done? And if so, do you require the seller to do a certain amount of those repairs? Is there something about that in your contract? I would really love to know. I've considered that in my business, integrating that into my listing package is literally just being able to provide a pre-listing inspection with the caveat that the repairs are taken care of. So I know that might be a lot to expect out of a seller, so I would like to know, is that something that you would be game for? If I'm paying for the inspection, are you game to make sure that the repairs get done? And I can help with that, right? I've got resources, I've got contractors, that's what I'm here for. I'm your trusted advisor. And if you do that, then it sets you up for the best case scenario to be able to sell quickly, and also to be able to show in good faith, hey, yes, we did have this inspected and we did get it checked out and we have had it addressed, and here are the receipts for everyone that's done stuff. So that way it's fully transparent, and a lot of times that helps our buyers feel extremely confident in the property. So those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to know where you stand on this topic and give me some different perspectives. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you very soon, my friends. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you for being here and listening in on this episode of Closing Chapters with me. I truly enjoy putting this content together, and I hope that you enjoy it too. If so, could you like, subscribe, and share this episode with somebody you know that will enjoy it just as much as you did? Thank you so much.